How did you come to appreciate Dooyeweerd?
The seminary that I went to was Calvinist, broadly. Some of what I'm saying now about the Calvinist and Orthodox view came across. A lot of it wasn't clear. But in my senior year in seminary, between the first and second semester, Dooyeweerd came to Philadelphia and gave 5 lectures at Westminster Seminary at the invitation of Van Til.
That makes sense.
And a lot of what he said, I went over my head. I hadn't ever studied philosophy, but a lot sank in too. I mean, I got the idea, this guy is saying there's such a thing as a Christian philosophy.
Yeah.
And I can't find any Christian thinker who ever said that. They all say the opposite. I can find you dozens that say there's no such thing. But none that say, yes, there's a Christian, and not only is it possible, it's needed by Christians. It's how Christians can take the proper approach to the sciences. And Dooyeweerd had worked out a theory of reality. And it is distinctive. So I got all excited about this. Wow, this sounds terrific. Now, I went to the seminary before I finished college. I had started college, dropped out, went to the seminary at the urging of a friend of mine who was going there too. And my motive was, I had always asked my parents and everybody else I came in contact with in the church, how do we know Scripture comes from God? That was the big question for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that Calvin had already answered that beautifully. In fact, he raises that question and answers it. What Calvin says is, if we are asked, how do we know Scripture comes from God? It's just the same as if we were asked, how do we tell black from white, light from dark, sweet from bitter? Scripture bears on the face of it such evidence of its truth as do white and black of their color, sweet and bitter of their taste. Those who ask for proof that Moses and the prophets spoke by divine inspiration are doing things backward. Scripture deigns not to submit itself to proofs and arguments, but owes the full confidence with which we should accept it to the testimony of the Spirit of God. And that's the position I defend in this new book. What I point out is that is equivalent to saying that the gospel becomes self-evident to the one who reads or hears it. So it's not a subject for proof at all. It's either self-evident to you or it ain't. And if it is, you'll believe, you become a believer. And if it isn't, you won't.
Now, keep going.
Well, I have these 2 sentences in this new book. God is not a conclusion at the end of a chain of reasoning. God is the subject of an experience report. And then I offer to the reader a little spiritual discipline whereby they might find in their own experience whether God is real. And that's the grounds with. So this is unlike any apologetics ever written. There's no argument to bash the unbeliever or the doubter over the head. It takes an entirely empathetic attitude to anyone who doesn't believe or was raised Christian, now is really not sure about all this stuff, which is what the Pew surveys keep showing. More and more people consider themselves nothing in particular, but spiritually in general.